opened the bedroom door to apologize to my wife. That's all I wanted to do. Just say goodnight. What I heard stopped me cold. A low moan. It wasn't me making that sound. It wasn't for me. When I stepped inside, the truth punched me. She was there, under the sheets, phone in hand. She was doing things. The guy on the other end heard me gasp. His voice crackled. What's happening? Hello. I slammed the door shut. I fled down the stairs. 13 years of marriage. 5 years married. And I had just witnessed the sickest, most traumatic betrayal imaginable. The woman I thought was my wife, she was a stranger. But to understand that single, devastating moment, you need to know the decade-long lie that built the foundation for my collapse. It always came down to intimacy. Always. Before we were married, we had issues. I thought it was just low libido. I thought she was just non-sexual. Our libidos were always out of sync. She never wanted to have sex. When we did, I could tell she wasn't into it. That made me feel gross. Sometimes she would tell me to just finish already after only a few minutes. I would often fake it. Eventually, I just stopped pushing. I stopped asking. I just accepted I lived in a sexless marriage. That was my life now. We tried therapy 6 times. It was like talking to a wall. She had that classic Midwest avoidance. Bottled emotions. No breakthrough. My family is loud. We are blunt. We communicate. Her family just bottles it up. We quit therapy. We couldn't afford it. I stayed silent. I kept accepting the lie. But the silence just festered. It became a poison that started killing everything else. 4 years ago, we moved. We left my home in the PNW. We moved here. To this small, miserable town in the Midwest. We moved for her family. I have no community here. I have no friends. I've been heavily depressed for a year and a half. I'm isolated. I work my 8 to 5 job. She's a stay-at-home mom. She started a cleaning company. She was busy. I was lonely. Our fights became explosive. She would say truly shy, mean things. I would yell. I would walk away. It was a cycle. The pressure built. The intimacy issues got worse. Now we had a 3-year-old child. The pressure cooker was about to blow. And the explosion started with a text message in a gas station parking lot. Last year, we were driving to a cabin. A weekend away with her parents. Her sisters. She ran into a gas station. She left her phone on the passenger seat. I had never snooped. Never. The phone pinged. I looked over. A random name popped up. Todd. I had never heard of him. My gut dropped. She got back in. We started driving. I asked her straight up. Hey, who is Todd? She immediately confessed. It was Tinder. My heart exploded. A confidence booster. After 13 years with me, we screamed at each other. Right there, in front of our toddler. I turned the car around. We drove home. I got out. I told them both to go to the cabin without me. I felt betrayed. I was broken. I thought that was the worst it could get. I was naive. She swore it was nothing. She said it wasn't a big deal. She denied it was cheating. I was weak. I believed her. But a month later, I caught her again. We were watching a movie. The whole family was there. I just glanced over. I saw that name, Todd, on her phone screen. I told her to stop. I told her this is cheating. She denied it again. She promised she would stop immediately. She was lying. She was cheating. She had already cut me out of her life. The denial and the excuses had become a shield. It took 10 more months of coldness and distance before the full, horrifying truth finally ripped our life apart. 10 months passed. We were drinking one night. Our son was in bed. She got furious at me over something mundane. She stormed upstairs. I waited. I waited a half hour to cool down. I went up to say, I'm sorry and good night. I could hear the sounds before I even reached the door. Muffled moaning. My blood went cold. I opened the door. She was spread out, under the sheets, the phone in her hand. I gasped. I stammered. What the FMNK? The man's voice on the phone. What's happening? Hello? I slammed the door. I stumbled back downstairs. She followed me down. She said, we need to talk. We were drunk. We decided to wait until morning. Things get too loud when we drink. What she told me the next morning wasn't loud. It was silent. Soul-crushing devastation. The next day, our son was watching a movie. We sat in the back room. She dropped the first bomb. She wants a separation. I was already on board. I was broken. Then she dropped the real shockwave. She wants anonymous sex. Lots of it. With other men. She said it was her kink. Public sex. I was speechless. This was the woman who barely touched me. Then she admitted her past. She was in college. She had sex with close to 100 men. 100. Lots of one-night stands. We talked about previous partners when we started dating. She said her count was a lot. I figured 20, maybe 30, not 100. I realized the truth. She was never non-sexual. She was just non-sexual with me. The shock wasn't just the betrayal. It was realizing the person next to me for 14 years never actually existed. I felt totally crushed. I didn't know who she was. I left the next day. I drove back to the B&W. I needed space. I needed to process. I wrote her a long letter. I needed to make sense of the lie. Her response was immediate. It was brutal. She blamed me for everything. My depression. The way I treated her. Not once did she say sorry. Not once did she take accountability for the cheating. The micro-cheating became full-blown affairs. She cut me out completely. She refuses to give me any details. She has been lying for over a decade. I wish I could walk away. But we have a son. She won't leave her family. I'm stuck here. In this shitty white town. I can't imagine leaving my son. Splitting custody across 2 states is not an option. I am ready for the divorce. I have a game plan. But the emotional trauma, walking in on her like that, it still haunts me. I spent 14 years trying to reignite a spark with a woman who had a secret history of anonymous sex. I felt gross. I felt rejected. I felt like the problem. But the problem wasn't my libido. The problem was the lie. I am divorcing a stranger. I am starting over in a strange place. All because I opened a door to say goodnight. And if you thought this was a lonely path, wait until you hear the next story of a man who found out his wife's entire inheritance was built on a series of elaborate, fake deaths.